All right, we're going to start today with the latest on the search for the remaining avalanche victim and the massive effort to get the 8 deceased victims off of the mountain.
Yeah, yesterday we told you 6 people survived the massive avalanche near Castle Peak in Nevada County. The sheriff's office said today conditions in the Sierra are just too dangerous at this time to extract the victims.
All this comes as Cal OSHA has announced the investigation into the incident involving the guides employed by Blackbird Mountain Guides. Here's Trevor Alt with that.
This morning, the heartbreaking new details in what's now the deadliest ski-related avalanche in history. Authorities say this group of skiers was made up of mostly mothers from Mill Valley, California, whose children attend the same school. 8 of those skiers have been found dead, and the 9th person still missing is presumed to have died as well.
They were attempting to go out as a group. That someone saw the avalanche, yelled avalanche, and then it overtook them rather quickly.
Investigators say that avalanche was the size of a football field. 11 skiers and 4 guides had been on a 3-day backcountry ski expedition near Castle Peak, not far from Lake Tahoe, when they were buried.
Medical for an avalanche in the area of Castle Peak.
6 survivors sent out an SOS call. 2 of them were injured and had to be carried out. And in the 6-hour wait, they uncovered 3 of the missing skiers who had died. The sheriff says one of the deceased is the spouse of a member of the search and rescue team. There had been days of warnings about life-threatening weather in the area. The group's guide company even posted days earlier about a big storm coming.
The recent storm event from the 10th.
Blackbird Mountain Guides offers expertly guided excursions in backcountry skiing.
You ski down onto the scene and unclip your skis as you get closer to refine your search.
In a statement, they say they're fully engaged in assisting the search and rescue, adding this was an enormous tragedy and the saddest event our team has ever experienced.
All right, that was Trevor Alt. In a new statement this morning, the company says they've suspended field operations through this Sunday. They also say in part, quote, "This was an enormous tragedy and the saddest event our team has ever experienced. We're doing what we can to support the families and team members who lost treasured friends," end of quote.
You may be wondering how much risk skiers actually face from avalanches after this tragedy in the Sierra. The answer depends a lot on where you go.
One expert says the big difference between backcountry and resort skiing is who manages the danger. Bruce Tremper is the former head of the Utah Avalanche Center. He told the New York Times, quote, "You're in charge of your own safety in the backcountry. It's like stepping back to the Stone Age. There's lions, tigers, and bears, and avalanches," end quote. Resorts are far more controlled, with ski patrols using mitigation tools like avalanche bombing, setting off explosives to release unstable snow.
Now, in the U.S., avalanches kill roughly 25 to 30 people a year. And for the average resort skier, the risk of dying in one is extremely low. Most fatal avalanches happen in the backcountry and are typically triggered by people, not naturally occurring.
As the community mourns those killed, skiers are still expected at Sierra resorts this weekend, drawn by all that fresh snow from the recent storm. Helen Lamas is with the Donner Summit Association. She says Sugar Bowl, Boreal, other nearby resorts will be open this weekend, although some terrain and lifts may have limited access. She says resorts are taking steps to keep guests safe, including avalanche control work to reduce danger on the slopes.
Skiing is always risky. Snowboarding is always risky. Anything outside, there's always a level of risk. So even in the resort, there is that there. But the resorts have, trained professionals who work really hard around the clock to, make sure that everything's safe. They do their avalanche bombing early in the mornings. So it's a very different scenario than what you see in the backcountry.
Lamas also warned skiers prepare for a lot of people coming up there, heavy crowds and a lot of traffic once the sun comes out. And that storm we have been tracking brought the snow much lower today. Let's take you to Auburn this morning, 1,200 feet elevation. Snow in Auburn is not that rare, but this much is. Many were excited to see this.
My phone kept alerting me that there was like a winter storm coming, but I was like, yeah, okay, I'm probably fine because I live on this side of Auburn and usually we don't get snow, so I didn't really worry about it. And I live only right down the street, 5 minutes from here, so I don't know. It caught me off guard, definitely, for sure.
Oh boy, this is first for me since I moved here about a year ago. I heard something like that happen years ago, but we are in for a treat. So one thing I'm not doing is jogging this morning, but Other than that, it's pretty good morning.
Last time they got significant snowfall in Auburn was more than 2 years ago. Let's check on Grass Valley, 2,500 feet, a blanket of snow covering that area. For Mike Buxton, who's visiting from Utah, he's no stranger to this kind of weather, but says it's been missed back home.
Kate and I just finished a Zen silent meditation retreat out in the woods. They kicked us all out early because of the incoming storm. So we've just had a snow day for the past 3 days.
We can still drive, which is very nice. And yes, I think that I like the way things are working out so far.
Okay, and as always, if you are hitting the roads tonight, drive safely as always. Let's check on Camino. Many woke up to not only power outages, but also some snowy roads. This comes, as El Dorado County says, cleanup from the last storm is delayed due to some downed trees and cars in roadways. Let's take it over to Monica now. Monica, what's the status of the storm at the elevation?
Well, we're starting to see some of this break up, obviously, throughout the valley. Many of us seeing peaks of sunshine. Still dealing with areas of rain, though, for parts of the foothills and snow for the Sierra. The elevation of that snow has started to move up the hill, so you can see right now, Auburn, it is rain. But Grass Valley, Forest Hill, we're still seeing snow as we move our way closer to Highway 50, Pollock Pines. It's a solid snow. South of that, Highway 88, as well as Highway 4, still areas of snow kind of in the upper foothills, lower Sierra. So the snow line has certainly been much higher throughout the afternoon than it was this morning. What a great way to start the morning, though. As far as our weather impact alert, it's going to end this evening. Snow being the main concern. Still need extra travel time up and down the Sierra, if you can even get up there. I'm telling you, we still have been tracking multiple delays, even closures today, and spinouts. Winter storm warning and winter weather advisory in place until 10 o'clock tonight. Our avalanche warning, by the way, that will continue into our Friday. Just be aware of that. This is all for the backcountry. And we talked to some of those ski resorts, as you heard moments ago, that they're just basically day-to-day operations. Always want to check ahead before you head up the hill. As far as our conditions right now, we're looking at some sunshine, cool temperatures, 40s and 50s for the valley, still snowing at Tahoe, 23 degrees. Big pocket of cold air moving in. I love this. The actual composition and feature of the cloud cover really indicative of the cold air starting to move on through. So tonight we actually end the snow showers pretty quickly here, and that leaves us with a freeze warning in effect for the valley. Also, a cold weather advisory and extreme cold warning. More on that to come. Walt?
All right, thank you, Monica. Let's go to Calaveras County, declaring a local state of emergency. That allows them to ask for increased help from the state as they manage the snowstorm there, which brought down trees and power lines across the county. And as for Calaveras County, outages are a big issue for that community. For those without power, PG&E is opening 2 resource centers in West Point and Murphy's. One of the locations is at West Point Community Hall, offers blankets, snacks, and water, air conditioning and heating, device charging, Wi-Fi, and more. In Murphy's, the fire department is offering blankets, snacks, and water, and also device charging.
Yeah, the story is going to continue, especially with those freeze warning in effect. For the latest updates on weather and road conditions, download the free ABC 10 app. You can also watch extended weather coverage as we prepare for the freezing condition and next week's storm.